The college wrestling season is over, but the two biggest teams didn't even wrestle. Penn State versus Oklahoma State. Who would win that match? Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. Hello everybody, my name is Josiah, and this is your first time here. Welcome to Fanco Wrestling. This channel is all about wrestling news, tips, and lifestyle. If you're interested in wrestling, if you're a huge wrestling fan, make sure you subscribe for content just like this. Today we're talking about Penn State versus Oklahoma State. These are two powerhouse teams this year, but they didn't even wrestle. The last time these two teams wrestled was in 2017, and that's back when there were some big postseason duels. Now, Penn State this year, of course, they're reigning national champs, but Oklahoma State is looking to overtake them. But how do their lineups stack up against each other? I want to see who would actually win in a dual meet. You know, Penn State they made a statement when they crushed Ohio State in their dual meet this year, but Oklahoma State made a statement last weekend whenever they beat Iowa by a pretty big deficit with some massive upsets and massive wins. But how will they do against each other? Let's get into it right now. So I'm just going to run down the lineups, talking about all the guys who are ranked on both teams, Penn State and Oklahoma State, just seeing, you know, what would the score be, what would the team score be. Now, Penn State, of course, has 9 ranked wrestlers, and they have 6 in the top 4 with 4 #1 guys. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, they also have 9 ranked wrestlers, so that's a pretty even lineup right there. They have 4 guys in the top 4. Now, let's get into this duel. So at 125 pounds for Penn State, we have Devin Schnupp versus Nick Picininni of Oklahoma State. Picininni right now is number 2 in the country, coming off a big win against Spencer Lee. He's 28-0. This junior would probably, in my opinion, pin Devin Schnupp. And, you know, I just think that after that pin against Spencer Lee, that's just showing that he can pin anybody in the country. Now, I just think he's showing up big for this duel. He's given 6 points right away. Now, going into 133 pounds, we have number 9 ranked Roman Bravo Young, RBY, who is a freshman, going up against another freshman, Daton Fix, number 2 in the country. Fix right now is 27-1. They don't really have any common opponents yet this season, but Roman Bravo Young's biggest win was against Luke Pletcher, who was at the time number 6 in the country. This was during the Penn State versus Ohio State dual meet. Daton Fix has big wins over number 3 Austin DeSanto, John Ernesti of Missouri, Gomez, who he beat twice this season, and then Lezak and Suriano. So his only loss this season is actually Mickey Philippi of Pitt. So with that said, I don't think he's going to score any Daton Fix is going to score any bonus on Roman Bravo Young, but I do have him tweaking out for that win. This is a toss-up match, and let me know who do you think would win this match, as well as every other toss-up match that I talk about. Leave your scores down below. I'm giving this match to Daton Fix, and just slightly over Roman Bravo Young. So Oklahoma State at this point is up 9-0 in the duel. At 141 pounds, Nick Lee, who's 24-1 on the season, will be going up against number 14, Cade Brock. I think that this could be another toss-up match, and that's mostly because Cade Brock has turned it on these past couple weeks. With some solid wins. Now, they do have a couple common opponents. One is against Josh Albert of University of Northern Iowa. Now, Nick Lee has a win over Albert just by a decision, but he does have the win, while Cade Brock has that loss. They both have losses to Ironman. Now, Cade Brock's came during this season, and Lee's came during last season. So I'm going to give the slight edge to Nick Lee just by a decision, but I think he's going to beat Brock. Going into 141 pounds, we have Brady Berge going up against Caden Gefeller, who's number 9 from Oklahoma State. Now, Berge has had some nice wins this season against Jared Prince and also Verclaren, who is actually one of his teammates, but that's one of their common opponents, and that's what's pretty big here in distinguishing who would win this match. I'm giving the edge to Gefeller. Mostly, they actually both beat Verclaren by a score of 3-2, so very similar. And this is another match I see going either way, but I'm giving this edge slightly to Gefeller just because of his wrestling style. He also, one other common opponent he has is against Fine Silver. He beat him 3-2, while Berge lost to him 3-2. So that's just another common opponent there. So Oklahoma State at this point is up 12-3 going into Penn State's meat of the lineup. And really, a team like Oklahoma State has to have a big lead on a Penn State during this stretch of their lineup, because this is where their number one guys really come into play. So at 157 pounds, I think this is pretty simple here. Jason Nolf's going to get that pin against Wyatt Sheets. He's a pinner. He's a senior. He's undefeated this season. Two-time national champ. He's going for that pin for his team, bringing the score back 12-9. Going into 165 pounds, it will be another tough matchup. Penn State, of course, has Vincenzo Joseph, while Oklahoma State has Chandler Rogers. Now, I'm going kind of by where these guys wrestled for most of the season. I know there are a couple weight changes with Oklahoma State right now, with Rogers, with Jacoby Smith, and with Joe Smith. There are a couple, slight lineup changes. I'm just putting these guys kind of where they wrestled throughout the entire year. So Vincenzo Joseph right now is undefeated. Their common opponents with Rogers and Vincenzo are against Marsteller and actually against Rogers. So Vincenzo beat Chance Marsteller of Lockhaven, beat him by a score of 6-5, while Rogers lost to Marsteller 9-7. Now, these two, the last time they actually wrestled was in the 2017 dual meet, which I mentioned earlier, whenever Chenzo got a major decision against Rogers. I don't think it'd be that same major decision. Vincenzo typically keeps matches pretty close, but he always pulls out that win. I can never bet against Chenzo ever again, and that's why I have to give him the edge here. Penn State's tied the score 12-12. So this duel is close going into 174 pounds. Whenever we have Mark Hall, number 1 in the country, going up against number 7, Joe Smith. Like I said, he could be dropping to 165 pounds in the season, but I'm just putting him here because this is where he's wrestled. Now, Mark Hall actually does have a win over Joe Smith at the Southern Scuffle. He beat him by a score of 5-1, and for that main reason, I'm going to give this edge to Mark Hall. Also, Mark Hall has a big win this season also in who was the number one ranked wrestler of Zahid Valencia. And Joe Smith also has a loss to Daniel Smith as well as Mark Hall. So I'm giving the decision to Mark Hall, making the score 15-12, Penn State taking the lead. But don't get cocky, kid, because at 184 pounds, we have Jacoby Smith, number 10 in the country, going up against number 7, Shakur Rashid. Now, Rashid is undefeated on the season. He's missed a couple of matches because of an injury, but he's right back in there. Right now in this duel, we're assuming everybody's healthy, everybody's in the lineup where they need to be. So, there has to be an upset in every duel, and that's where I'm thinking this upset is. Now, it's not a major upset, but it is a decent upset. 10 beating number 7, and Jacoby Smith, who's 24-3 on the season. They're both seniors. Now, Jacoby Smith and Shakur both have losses to Ryan Price. They both lost to him by a regular decision, but one key factor is Shakur Rashid. He actually does have a win over number 17, Bolin Hunter of Virginia Tech by a score of 4-1, whereas Jacoby Smith has a loss to him by a score of 3-1. But I think, Oklahoma State, they always have to pull out at least one big upset. As they are tough Cowboys, I'm giving this match an upset to Jacoby Smith, and that ties the duel right back up 15-15 going into the last two weights. How exciting would this be if you were in Rec Hall watching this match go down right now, with number 1 Bo Nickal going up against number 4 Preston Weigel of Oklahoma State. They're both seniors. Weigel is 8-0, and Bo Nickal is 22-0 on the season. How can you bet against Bo, though? With a pin against the number 2 guy in the country and Colin Moore. Now, Colin Moore and Weigel, they do have different styles. Weigel is a little bit more conservative. He'll stall you out in order to win a match, especially in a dual meet. Now, even though Weigel does have a loss to Colin Moore in last year's national final or last national championship, I still think that Bo will only get a major decision on Weigel. He's out there to, he's always out there to win, but if he's down big, he has to keep that score to a major decision, and I think that's what would happen here. Now, Bo could obviously pull out a big pin here like he has in the past, but I'm giving that win to Bo Nickal by major decision, putting Penn State up 19-15. Now, heading into this last match, in order to win the duel, Derek White, number 2 from Oklahoma State at heavyweight at 285 pounds, he's a senior. He would have to get a tech fall or pin against Anthony Cassar of Penn State. Is it possible? Maybe. But in this duel, I don't think it's possible. I think that because these two have wrestled before. They wrestled at the Scuffle this past year, where Derek White beat Anthony Cassar by a score of 3-2. So White has that score. He has that win over Cassar, and it wasn't a pin, wasn't a tech. Now, given that anything can happen in a duel like this, whenever it's down to the wire, the adrenaline's pumping, everybody's cheering, and you have the fans just yelling down at you. White, could he pull out a pin? It could be something crazy, but I have to give him just the regular decision, giving Oklahoma State 3 points, and the final score of this duel would be 19-18. So this is even closer than I initially predicted. 19-18 would be where these two would end up by my predictions in this crazy super duel. I wish we could get to see this so we could see the actual outcomes of this match. Make sure you let me know what your final scores would be and who would win each of the matchups. I need to know because this is too big not to talk about. Penn State versus Oklahoma State. What a duel. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you're interested in more college wrestling content, college wrestling news, make sure you subscribe and check out these upcoming videos.